Hey everyone, it's Abu with a quick update and a little teaser for an episode that you'll be hearing in a couple of weeks. So Leo and I are hard at work on our next Interviews with Frank Herbert episode. We're actually using documents that Leo found in the Fullerton archives for this next one. And what you're about to hear is just a 2-minute clip from that episode, just to give you a taste for what's to come. The interview that we're focusing on in the episode is actually a written piece for a magazine, so there's no audio of Frank Herbert speaking, which makes it a little bit challenging to create a podcast about it, but we came up with a creative solution. We asked Leo's dad, Mick Wiggins, to read Frank's responses from that magazine interview. It's not the voice of Frank Herbert, but it is his words. So we hope you enjoyed this little teaser clip and are looking forward to the full episode. As always, thanks so much for listening. We found this interview to be one of the more fascinating and lesser-known pieces of insight into the legendary author's worldviews, views that clearly made their way into Dune. The conversation is full of contradictions and bold assertions, but also some incredibly profound and progressive ideas. One of the most fascinating parts of the interview is when Frank explains his views on our relationship with technology. He explains to Stone the philosophy of techno-peasantry, a phrase he coined.
To help explain this concept, Frank launches into a story. As he tells it, he once taught a class at the University of Washington about utopias and dystopias. He found himself frustrated that he wasn't able to get his students to overcome their preconceived notions about technology. So he took them camping.
All I told my class was, we'll be out in the Olympics for 2 nights. It's going to rain. Bring your gear, food, and paper and pencils for taking notes. I'll meet you at the trail's head.
It was springtime in the Olympics, and Frank knew it would be cold and rainy. So he packed his best camping gear, a comfortable sleeping bag, a high-quality tent, and a pack full of trail food and necessary supplies. His inexperienced students weren't quite as ready for the wilderness. Everything was going according to plan.
We ate and hit the sack, and then the rain came. Well, I was quite dry, comfortable in my tent, but a lot of my students weren't so well prepared. During the night, I heard voices crying, "My sleeping bag's all wet," or "God, it's cold." I simply rolled over and went back to sleep.
The next morning, they all ate a miserable breakfast. Then, Frank gave his students an assignment. He asked them to get out their notebooks and pretend they were the last survivors after the bomb had dropped. Remember that Frank and these students lived during the Cold War, so the threat of atomic warfare was on everyone's minds. Frank asked them to write about what former technology they'd need in their hypothetical post-apocalypse society. And this time, he got through to them.
Well, let me tell you, those cold, wet people who had eaten an inadequate breakfast looked at society's technology a good bit more closely than they had when sitting in a comfortable university classroom. Students who had been saying things like, "Oh, sure, I could do without all this stuff," began to ask some basic questions and to comprehend that technology isn't bad in and of itself. Everything depends on how you use it.
This story encapsulates so much of the way Frank Herbert saw the world and our place in it. He was a man with strong convictions, a deep thinker who was as skeptical as he was idealistic. So, on today's episode, we're going to unpack the wisdom and the blind spots in Frank's views on technology, government, and ecology. This is Interviews with Frank Herbert.